Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet this cowl here. Now this is made with the some people call it the diamond wave. Some people do call this brick stitch. It's not what I call it. The millstone stitch is what I commonly refer to it as, but whatever you call it, this is what it is, and it's actually quite beautiful and easy to do. Really, it's not that hard. It's pretty much just double crochet, single crochets, and then there is that drop double right here, but it's just the same as a double, but you just go down a couple rows. Now this is worked in a round, so it has no visible seam. As you can see, it's not sewn together. We start with one large ring and we work it in the round. I think it turned out quite nice. I really like it. I do. I think I like it a lot. I think it's really pretty. Now let me go ahead and give you a size on mine, because I will give you the multiple so you can make yours bigger or smaller if you'd like. So mine measures about 13 inches wide. Remember, that's in the round, so it's 13 on the other side. But and then height wise it is about seven and a half. So remember, you can make it big infinity scarf would be beautiful, and you can make it wider if you want. It's completely up to you. It's just my job to teach you how to do the stitch. You guys ready? I'll show you what yarn I used. Move this out of the way here. So for this particular project, I used yarn from the Paw Ply Yarn Company. It is a independent dyer. I will put the link to his shop below in the description box in case you're interested. This is his Wisteria DK mini set. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Now there were 5 little hanks in here, each of them about 45 yards. And so this is a lightweight number 3. And I'm used about 200 yards of a lightweight 3 to complete the project the size that mine is. And I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now you don't have to use the weight of yarn that I use. You don't have to use the yarn that I use. Any weight, 3 weight, 4 weight, 5 weight, really it's up to you on that. But as far as hook size goes, if you're going to be using a DK or a lightweight 3, I do the I like I did. If you're going to be using a 4 weight, I'd use a 6 millimeter, and if you're going to be using a bulky 5, I would do a 6.5 millimeter. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, so this stitch is done when we're working in the round. It's done in a multiple of 10. So if you want to follow along with me in my measurements, I chained 100, and you can always make yours bigger or smaller, just making sure that your chain is done in a multiple of 10. Now we're going to be forming a large ring. So when you get your chain of 100 made, you want to follow it down without twisting your chain, and we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form one large ring. Alright, so go ahead and slip stitch into your first chain. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1. Now we're going to go right back into that same spot that we just slip stitched into and single crochet. Now we're going to work around, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain all the way around till we get back to our starting point. Just like this. So 1 single in every stitch around your big ring until we get back to here. Alright, so once you make it back around to the end of round 1, you should have 100 stitches. So that's what you started out with. And we're going to end by slip stitching into our first single crochet. Not the chain one we did, but the first single crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and tie my yarn off and change colors here. I like to tie my yarn when I change colors. But if you change colors a different way, that's fine. I like to clip, preferably with scissors that are not dull, and start new. So I'm going to bring in my next color that I'm going to be using. And I'm just going to start it right here in the same spot that I just ended in. Doesn't necessarily have to be in that spot, but I'm going to kind of try to make that the back or the seam of my work. Okay, so I'm going to start right there where I just ended. And I'm going to chain 1. Okay, I'm going to try to hide these tails as I go along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a double crochet right back into this same stitch. Like that. And then I'm going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. Like that. And now I'm going to do a half double crochet into the next stitch. And then I'm going to do a single crochet into the next stitch. Like that. And then I'm going to chain 1. And then I will skip 1 stitch, so skip 1. And in the next stitch, I'm going to start my repeat. So I chained 1, skip 1. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. And then the next stitch, a half double crochet. And then I'm going to do 5 double crochets in each of, 1 double crochet, in each of the next 5 stitches. So 1 double into the next. 1 double in the next. I'm going to do that 5 times, so that's 2. Here's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. And then I'm going to do a half double crochet into the next stitch. And then a single crochet into the next. And then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and start my repeat again. So I chained 1, skip 1, and then I start my repeat again by putting a single into the next stitch, a half double into the next, and a 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a half double into the next stitch, and a single into the next, chain 1, skip 1, and repeat again. So I'm going to continue this all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you right over here near the end where you can't finish a full repeat, and I'll show you what to do here at the end. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of round 2, and I just finished my last repeat, and I have 6 stitches that remain. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we're going to finish this out. So I just did a single crochet, so I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next, half double into the next, and then put 1 double into the remaining 3 stitches. It's 1, 2, and 3. And remember, we started out with 2 doubles, so put the 2 with the 3 we just made, and we have a complete one of these little ovals like we've been doing. So go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet, and that'll end round 2. So that is what it kind of looks like, and you should have 10 of these half circle things. So what we're going to do for row 3 is we're just going to repeat what we just did on row 2. So it's the exact same thing. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to double crochet right back into that same stitch, and I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch, half double into the next, single into the next, chain 1. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, start my repeat. So when I skip 1, I'm skipping this chain space here and going in single crocheting into that single crochet, half double into this half double crochet, 1 double in each of the next 5 double crochets, there's 5, half double into the next half double, single into the next single, chain 1, skip this chain space right here, and we repeat by single crocheting into the next single, half double into the next half double, 1 double into the next 5 doubles, half double into the next half double, single into the next single, chain 1, skip 1, and repeat. So I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern until I get back to my starting point, and you can see that's what it's starting to make, our little ovals like that. So I'll meet back up with you over here. Alright, I'm coming to the end of row 3, and we're going to finish it the same way we did row 2 here. So I just did my single crochet there, and then I'll chain 1 and skip that chain 1 space there, single crochet in the next, half double into the next, and we'll have 3 double crochets left. So go ahead and put a double crochet in each of those. And now we're going to end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And now I'm going to tie off and switch colors. Okay. So again, you'll always have 10 of these little ovals here. So we're going to try to keep our start and finishes back here on this back oval. That way we can kind of keep that to the back. All right. So I'm going to pull my a green through, well, whatever color you want to pull through. I'm using green, if I can find the end of it. Alright, now we're going to start in that same stitch that I just finished in. So I'm going to go right into that same stitch there that I just slip stitched into, and I'm going to start my yarn by just pulling it through. Maybe try to hide tails as I go too, so like that. And then I am going to chain 1. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch, and I'm going to single crochet, and I'm going to put a single crochet into every stitch until I get to that chain 1 space. Okay, so this is just one single in every stitch until we get to that chain 1 space. We're going to do something a little bit different there. So just continue, and And I'm just about there. Okay, I'm there. So here is the chain 1 space right here. There's one here from row 3 and one here from row 2. We're going to go and we're going to do a double crochet bug, and we're going to do it way down here at row 2. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into that row 2 spot, that row 2 chain space. Drop a loop, and I'm going to do a double crochet right there, like that, just like that. And now I'll start again doing a single crochet in every stitch until I get to my next chain space. That half double is always awkward. It is for me. Okay, so here I am at my chain spaces again. You can see here's one from row 3, and this is the one down here from row 2. So we want to go into this spot. I'm going to double crochet into it. So I'm going to yarn over and just go into this spot here and drop a loop and do your double crochet, just like that. So that's what it kind of starts to look like. So that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. Now we'll go ahead and do a single crochet into every stitch again until we get to our next chain 1 space. Alright, here's my chain 1 spaces. So remember, I need to drop down 2 rows, so not this space but this space right here. Yarn over and just go right through it and double crochet. So I'm going to continue repeating this pattern until I get back around to my starting point, and I'll meet back up with you there. Alright, I'm coming to the end of a row 4, and you can see I just single crocheted my way up to my starting point, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet, and we should have 100 stitches now. And I'm going to go ahead and tie off here, and I'm going to switch colors again. Okay. Alright. So now I'm going to bring in my new color, and we're going to start row 5. Now, the reason why we do it this way in the round is because these ovals, they need to be catty-cornered from each other, if that makes sense. So now we're going to start. It's basically, they're done the same way. They're just going to be done catty-cornered. So they just start and stop differently than these 2 rows. So for row 5, we're going to go ahead and start in the same stitch that we just slip stitched into right there. Now we're going to start by chaining 1. Now we're going to start, this will be the start of the repeat for row 5. We're going to single crochet into that same stitch. And then we're going to half double into the next stitch. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we will half double crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet into the next, and chain 1, skip 1, and start our repeat again. So skipping this one, and single crochet into the next, half double into the next, and then it's going to be a 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 half double crochet into the next, 1 single into the next, and we chain 1, skip 1, and start our repeat again. So you can see it's the same, but yet just a little bit differently. If you look, you'll see that your third double crochet should end up right about here where this double crochet drops down. And then when you look over here at your chain 1 space, it should end up right around where the third double crochet is down here. That way we are a little catty cornered. So when we drop our double crochet next time, it'll be in the middle right here of this oval. So, well, I'm going to continue around and complete row 5 out. Just keep repeating that until we get back to our starting point. Alright, I'm coming to the end here of row 5. And I just did finished a complete repeat, and I have 1 stitch left, so I'm just going to chain 1, skip that stitch, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. And you should have 10 of these little half ovals. Now all I'm going to do for row 6 is repeat what I just did on row 5. So remember, if you look carefully, it's pretty much the same thing we did down here. It's just that they're catty cornered now. So everything will kind of look like bricks, I guess. Alright, so again, we're just going to repeat by chaining 1, going back into that exact same stitch, and single crocheting, and then half double into the next, 1 double into the next 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, half double into the next half double, and single crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, and repeat. Single crochet into the next, half double into the next, 1 double into the next 5. So it's just a repeat of row 5. So I'm going to continue this pattern until I get all the way back around to my starting point. Alright, I'm coming to the end of round 6, so I just did my last single crochet, so I'm going to chain 1, skip this chain space here, and end by slip stitching into my first single crochet, and I'm going to tie off and change colors again, and we'll start round 7, which will be the final round of our repeats. So go ahead and get whatever yarn you're using for round 7. I'm going to bring my green back in, and I'm going to start in the same stitch that I just ended in. Let me find it here. Yeah, right here. This single crochet is where I'm going to start. And it's going to be very similar to the other row, like this. Single crochets, just in different spots. All right, so I'm going to start off by chaining one. Sorry, give me a minute to get my, okay. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to single crochet back into that same stitch. Just like that. Now I'm going to put one single crochet in every stitch until I get over here to my chain space. Okay, I'm at my chain space, and again we're just going to drop down 2 rows. So here's the chain space from the previous row and the one from the row before that. So we want to go into that space right there and do a double crochet. So go right into it and do a double crochet, just like that. Now that is what we're going to repeat all the way around. So I'm going to single crochet in every stitch until I get to my next chain space. Okay, and then I'm going to do a double crochet right down here 2 rows below into that chain space. That, and then I'll continue 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to my next chain space, and then I'll do that drop double crochet. So that's what it starts to look like, and as you can see, it makes the drop doubles are catty cornered. You see they're kind of centered like they're supposed to be. So I'm going to continue this all the way around until I get back to my starting point, and I'll meet back up with you there. Alright, I'm coming to the end of round 7, and I finished my repeat, and I have the chain space here left, so I'm going to go ahead and do my drop double. So I'm going to yarn over and go down my 2 rows and do my double crochet, and then I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Should have 100 stitches now. Again, I'm going to tie off and change colors. So that's the repeat. Now we're just going to repeat rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 until you get your cowl as thick as you want it to be. If you look in the bottom, the comment section, the very first comment will be from me, and I will have timestamps to the repeat rows of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you can just click on those so you don't have to rewind or anything. It'll just take you right to the beginning of each row. Now remember, it's very similar. The only difference is we're just catty cornering the drop stitches there so they're centered. But always remember to always start in the same stitch that you finished in. That's very important. That way your drop stitches line up correctly. So I just stopped in this one, and I want to start my new color into this one. Other than that, I'm just going to keep repeating those rows until I get my cowl as thick as I want it to be. So I'm going to continue on. You remember, you check that comment section out for the timestamps. And I'll meet back up with you when I get mine a little bit bigger. So I'm just repeating row 2 right now. Just one tip before I go. When you're lining up now, your third double crochet should always hit a drop double. Your third double crochet of each oval. That way you know you're lining up correctly. Alright, so I'm going to keep going until I get to my cowl a little bit bigger. Okay, I have repeated my rows 2 through 7 until I got it my piece as tall as I want it to be. As you can see, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 complete little tiles or bricks or whatever you want to call them, or a total of 19 rounds, and that's including round 1. So what I'm going to do, I ended there and where I did the single crochet with the double crochet drop stitch. I'm going to go around again at the top with a row of just 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I slip stitched in there, and now I'm going to go back. I chained 1, and I'm going to go back into that same stitch there and single crochet. And I'm going to work around putting 1 single crochet here. This is something you don't have to do. I just call it kind of like a finishing edge. So I'm going to do this around the top and the bottom, both. Just going to put 1 single in every stitch. No drop stitches, no nothing. Just 1 single every stitch around. When I get back around to my starting point, I should have 100 stitches still. Well, if you're following along with me, that's what you'll have. So, just like that. Okay, I made it back to my starting point here, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Oops. Try that again. And flip that, tie it off. You can do more rounds of single crochet if you want, or whatever you want to do there, but I'm going to call that quits, and I'm going to flip it over to the bottom. And keeping with the same line of where we've kind of been going down, I'm just going to do a row of single crochet around the bottom edge also. So I'm going to kind of start here. Right down here is where I did my very first chain. So I'm going to cut into that. Draw a loop. Try to hide these tails as I go. Chain 1. Go back into the same stitch. Single crochet. And I'm going to work across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch across the bottom until I make it back around to my starting point. When I get back around, I should have 100 stitches. If you don't have the 100, as long as you're close, it all works out. It works fine. So I'm going to continue around with the 1 single crochet all the way until I make it back to the beginning. Alright, I've made it back to my starting point, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Remember, you can always go around again if you want, or clip off. And now all I have to do is hide all my tails, and I will be finished. Yay! So that's it. That is all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope you were able to follow along okay. Remember, if you make this, or anything else, actually, at all, knit, crochet, any type of fiber art, I'd really like to see a picture of it. You can post a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Instagram account and hashtag me at Bagoday Crochet. I'll leave a link to that below in the description box. I'll also leave a link to where I got this yarn in case you were interested. And until next time, have a good day. Bye bye, everybody.